Scott, what made you want to direct this film?
I really wanted to tell Ralph Sarchi's story. I thought Ralph was an interesting guy, hardcore Bronx police sergeant who was encountering real evil all the time, every day in his job, in one of the toughest precincts in the country. And the fact that that guy ends up getting drawn into the paranormal and the demonic and becomes an assistant to an exorcist, I thought that was an amazing story.
Wow. And Ralph, when you saw this film, were there any other crazy stories that you shared with the director here that didn't make it to the screen?
Well, Scott spent about 4 days with me and my family back in 2003. And I showed him a lot of material back then. I actually took him on a case. Remember that case?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
So, I tried to give Scott as much of a dose of reality as I possibly could, and it did wonders for him.
And was there any point in your life where you didn't believe in God and there was a turning point for you where you followed Christ again?
Well, I've always believed in God since I was a little kid, and I always believed in the devil. I knew they both existed. I don't know why, but I just knew it. And when I got older, I didn't go to mass. I put God in the back seat. That was my fault. And then when I started to get involved in the work, I found my faith again, and now I'll never leave it.
Good for you. That's great. And last question, why do you think people don't believe in the supernatural?
I think because they have usually a dogmatic conviction against it. There's a popular idea that people believe in the paranormal, the supernatural, because they have a religious predisposition to believe it. I think the exact opposite is true. People believe in ghosts because they saw a ghost, or they know somebody credible who saw something. And same thing with this kind of material. The people who believe in it are people who've experienced it and seen how severe it is and how the real phenomenon that surrounds it. And I think you have to see all of that and to listen to the credible testimonies of people, I think you have to have a fixed dogma against it, not to believe it.
Okay, fair warning. Coming with some heavy questions.
Okay.
You ready?
You better deliver now.
Oh man, I set it up. Now I got to deliver. Okay. Do you believe there's a current battle in the world of good versus evil?
I think there's always a battle of that to some description, but I guess it depends on how you look at it.
And in doing this film, did you have any new revelations in your own religious beliefs?
I don't know about religious beliefs. It definitely changed the way that I look at certain things. It definitely opened my eyes to the world of possession and some of those areas, and it was definitely enlightening. Definitely taught me a lot about that stuff for sure.
Right. And your character had to humble himself before God in order to achieve his objective. Do you think that people have to do that in real life as well?
It was something that I found very interesting about the film. It was one of the things that attracted me as an actor and as a person. Actually, was I love this notion that Ralph gets blocked in his journey,
right,
and has to deal with his past in order to be able to move forward. And I was very intrigued by that because I feel like that's the case. Like I like to think that you eventually pay for everything that you do. There's no way that you can ignore something that's from the past, and Ralph has to acknowledge and deal with those things in order for him to just move forward as a police officer.
Right.
So yeah, I found that really smart bit of writing from Scott.
And with Sergeant Sarchi, did you get to speak and work with him a lot? Was he on set during the process?
Yeah, his official role was as our police advisor on set. But I guess for me, selfishly, it was just great to have him around. It was great to hear him talk, and we'd always be telling people stories. But for me, selfishly, I just enjoyed sort of feeding off his energy, and accent-wise, it was very helpful. Guy from Queens who worked in the Bronx, and so there was some very particular things about him that I was able to steal from and use in the film.
There's a scene in the movie where you're going to church and you're leaving the husband home and you're wearing all white. Is that a symbolism of your character's purity in the film?
He's going through a lot of of darkness in his life, and a lot of unexplainable things are happening to him. And she and his daughter, they are a white light in his life, and they are somewhere that he should be looking towards to find solace. But sometimes even when you have a white light in your face, when you have something that right there that will comfort you, you still turn away from it.
Right, right.
So maybe there is symbolism in it.
Maybe.
I just found it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Do you believe that there's a current battle in the world versus good versus evil?
I think that there is evil that is out there, and whether I think that we're always constantly battling to be our better selves and battling against people that are evil and energies that are evil. But I don't know if it would just say that there's this constant like tick-tock of a battle. I'd like to think that good is prevailing, and that's the reason why sometimes evil has to be so strong, because the good has been winnings for so long.
Sure.
Even when there's really sad things that happen, I like to think that the good is winning.
Keep the hope alive, yeah.
Yep.
And in doing this film, did you have any new revelations in your own religious beliefs?
Well, I was raised Christian, and then somewhere along the way you stop believing, because you think like, oh, as you get older, you start to think like, this doesn't make sense, And then when I shot this movie, I got to see the real footage from the movie, I got to see the real footage from the exorcisms that Ralph Sarchie had to take part in, and with the actual guy, and it was so intense, and the stuff that you see in this footage is so unexplainable and so intense. I mean, it shakes you to your core.
Yeah.
That opened up my mind to maybe believing again. So this movie opened me up to believing again.
Thanks for watching. To find out more Movie Guide content, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. To hear more about Hollywood Buzz and know before